Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About That, a Union University podcast. My name is Fran, and I co-host this show alongside my good buddy, Ted Kluck. All right, this week we had so much fun having one of the best conversations with our new Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Fred Johnson. We spend several minutes talking about the love and the beauty of music, and then find ourselves in the classroom at the end, discussing the value and the importance of a liberal arts education. It is such a fun conversation, and we are so glad that you're here and so glad that you're listening. All right, sit back and enjoy the show. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Ted, it's so fun to be in the studio with you again today on this beautiful October day.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I just came from school, so I have a stack of papers to grade, and my students were delirious about Taylor Swift's new album that had dropped, and they wanted very badly to talk about it, and then Fred texted me about it, and so it's just kind of in the air. So, Fred, I have to ask you, even before the formal intro, what's your experience with Taylor Swift? Do you have any backstory there?
I don't know if I have backstory. It was just important to read that Taylor was possibly feuding with Charlie XCX. That seems important to know as a modern educator in the contemporary world.
You know, it is funny, man. So I had this experience where like 5 years ago, my students essentially tied me to a chair and made me listen to Taylor Swift. And I expected to not like it just because it's not kind of for me. It's not for my demo or whatever. But I actually realized I liked several of the songs, and she's really good at doing a thing that I try to get my writers to be good at, which is including the sorts of details that either move the plot or reveal character. And if you think of a song like All Too Well, which is on my falling in love song Mount Rushmore, my breakup Mount Rushmore, dancing around the kitchen in the refrigerator light, those sorts of things. It's inviting you to direct a short film in your mind about yourself. And that, I think, is the genius of the music. But my students weren't super fired up about this record. They were still kind of tepid about it. So.
Well,
I've not listened.
I've only listened to the first 5 or 6 tracks, and I personally enjoyed it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
It seems like good Taylor Swift. Like a lot of Gen X men my age.
Shout out Gen X men.
I got to Taylor Swift via, there's a kind of troubled singer-songwriter named Ryan Adams who just covered one of her albums start to finish. And then we all were like, well, Ryan Adams thinks she's great. What's going on? So went and listened. I also had students beginning to talk about her in different ways early on. And so I got interested in what they were interested in music.
That's good.
And she's the last superstar, or right now, it seems like she's occupying the space that, if you go back to 1985, we would name half a dozen people who are occupying that space. She's doing it alone. And then there's a whole other world of me where I did some writing about the band U2 and the ways that they managed being in the spotlight. For my sort of around my master's thesis, and they freaked out. They got really big, and then they were just so frustrated about how they were presented. And if you go back a generation, there's David Bowie and having the same freak out essentially, and it led both of those groups, or that Bowie and then U2 and others along the way, to do these albums where they kind of push back their fame and think about their fame. And I've been waiting to see how does Taylor Swift manage that? Is she managing that? And I thought, when's she going to do it? And then I realized eras might be it. Because at that moment she goes, all of these are personas. All of these. So,
I actually have a comment on that and then 2 questions, but we buried the lead. Our guest is Fred Johnson. He's the new Dean of Arts and Sciences here at Union University. He likes to talk about music, and so do I. So
I love this.
That's how we got here.
I love this.
Okay, so first question, back to the Ryan Adams thing. Have you taken the journey of like tortured kind of young singer-songwriters, like the Noah Kahan kind of journey?
Oh, it feels like what I do now is you pick up a songwriter here and a songwriter there. One of my grad school professors was a woman named Lauren Onkey, who went from being a professor of Irish literature to being the director of education at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Incredible.
To several other things.
That was a pay bump, I'm sure.
I think it was good.
She
She was like, should I give up tenure? Okay.
Dude, that could be in our future, actually. That's hopeful. That's a hopeful narrative. Thing. Yeah.
Anyway, Lauren said to me, obviously she was a fan of music. That was part of her background. At one point, I was telling her about a band, and I was in my early 20s, and she was like, yeah, I may listen to that, but what I've learned is I can't keep up, but I can keep listening to good music.
There you go.
Right. So
yeah, that's good.
Essentially what she said. So just, you add something once in a while.
That's it. Yeah. That's where I am too. Yeah, my students, and I always like to build rapport, right? And I like to connect with them where they're at. And I had a student last year ask me, Kluck, what do you think of Noah Kahan? And I was like, I could be really nice. I could build the bridge, but I was in too honest a mood. And I said, well, I don't think of Noah Kahan. And it was as though I shot this kid's dog, And I quickly learned my students would like take a bullet for this guy. They love his music. And I tried it and I found it very boring. But again, it's not for me, right? It wasn't marketed to me. It wasn't made for me. So yeah, I don't think we have to like everything. But vis-a-vis Taylor Swift pushing back on fame, I would almost argue that she needs fame just to feel normal. And in fact, the absence of it would be like taking heroin away from an addict, like making someone go cold turkey,
See, and I don't know how far, and let's talk about it. We want to dig into this, but
I think very far.
Imagine that this is also how David Bowie felt in the late 70s.
Yeah, go on.
And like that he arrived there. And the stuff, you go back and look at the stuff that he was doing, you can kind of, if you know David Bowie at all, you can picture the kind of the outfits, but he would do these concerts where he was using almost fascist imagery. And it was because he was so freaked out that he could say, everybody yell, and everybody would yell.
Yes.
Right. And so he's
it's a worship experience. Yeah.
But at the same time, right, is David Bowie anymore if he stops being
That's
David Bowie?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like how do you go on, and do you disappear, and does everybody say they made a mistake? But, and who knows what Taylor Swift will do, and we can talk about what others have done, but she sure has got enough music out there right now that she could kind of go, you like Life of a Showgirl? Great. You don't? That's okay too. I've done the biggest concert tour ever.
Yeah.
So I can kind of fade back and enjoy myself. And I kind of hope she does. I think that'll be great.
Okay. So that was going to be my next question. When I think of celebrities, like mega celebrities, the thing that I always end up wanting the most for them is that they will just go away with dignity. That seems like the most dignified thing to do and the most respectable thing to do. And yet it almost never happens. I struggle to think of, I don't know, more than a handful of people who have done this successfully. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Maybe. Let's think. You know who's kind of done it well is everybody in REM.
Yeah.
That band. So, and this is, again, we're in this Gen X territory. Some of our students are like,
Were you a big REM guy?
What are you talking about? Yeah. And okay. So we can connect here too. So I happen to know that Ted Kluck grew up in Hartford City, Indiana.
Shout out Hartford City, the HC.
I went to college down the road at Taylor. So did Ted, a little behind me, just barely.
Yep.
And when you're in Hartford City, Indiana, or Rochester, Indiana, where I went to high school, you don't have access to all of that much, and you don't
have college radio.
You don't know how to weigh things.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to say, we're in Hartford City, Indiana. While we're at Taylor, it's like 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Nothing's open in the town where Taylor is.
Nothing.
It's the population of the college is bigger than the population of the town.
That's right.
So if I wanted to study late at night, one of the options was to drive to the Packasack.
Packasack,
downtown in Hartford City.
Been there many times.
Long, right? So I'd be there reading my literature anthology, and the locals would be like, "What are you doing? Reading the Bible?" And you're having these midnight conversations in gas stations while drinking
I probably
bad coffee.
I probably knew some of those locals. That's wild.
Maybe that was you talking to me.
It might have been.
Back in the day.
My last Packasack experience, I was back home and it was late at night, and for some reason I had to have pizza, and it didn't even matter if it was good. Pizza King was closed, which is the God's apex mountain of pizzas. But
it's a very important local institution.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yep.
So I drove to Packasack. They didn't have pizza either. And I backed my car out kind of angrily, and I hit one of the pumps, and it put a dent in it. That's my story.
Probably still there.
Still there.
Great.
Yeah.
Every time you're through, you can visit your dent. So you've grown up in small town Indiana. It's the 80s, and you are looking to like understand the world beyond where you are.
Yeah, that's right.
You're reading books, you're listening to music, you're depending on MTV.
Yes.
In northern Indiana, the station was U93. U93 played like it was the grunge rock was starting to come, but they're also playing Paula Abdul, if that makes sense. Like it's absolutely the whole range of music that teenagers might listen to. And you're just trying to figure out what is culture and where is it out there?
Yes.
What's going on with it. So you asked if I'm an REM fan. Yeah, because I discovered REM from MTV. From that Into the World. It's the End of the World as we know it. And I find that was in like 20 movies, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It keeps coming out. Right. But you don't have an album.
Yeah.
You don't have access. Right?
That's right.
So at some point in time, you drive to the Walmart in town and you go, today I'm going to spend the money I have on this REM album. It's called Document, and there's one song on it I know, and you see what happens, right?
Yeah, it's a risk. You're taking the journey.
Always.
Yeah.
And we got...
Often you're doing that with a buddy, so you have this kind of communal experience. Driving home, you take the plastic off.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen to it in the car, or listen to one song after another, and if it's a tape, you can't skip.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's magical.
So this is how you open doors, right?
Yes.
Over time.
Yeah.
And this is going to get us to the liberal arts pretty soon. It's going to get us there. Yeah.
Go on. I know.
So you made you would buy albums where there's one good song, and then you buy this REM album, and you like every single song is not only interesting, but you don't know what it is, right? In that way, like, kids, I'm sorry about leaving you out of all this, but the Bon Jovi,
listen.
There's nothing about the Bon Jovi album where you go, what does he mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Although I love those albums too.
It's a beautiful fist pumping, like,
dude. And I was telling my students about what it was like to grow up in like dirtbag Indiana in the 90s. And I was like, I don't know how, but like 3 copies of the Metallica Black album just like appear in your life. Like they're on the floorboards of your car.
Two of them are on the floorboard of your car. One of them was yours. One of them's your friend's. Who's upset about it. And then
like 4 years later, it was Pearl Jam 10. Like I don't even like that record that much.
Well, did everybody in your town there was a copy of Steve Miller Band's Greatest Hits?
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It's just going to be in the car somewhere. It's either in the back seat or the front seat.
I know. Those were fun times though, because you would get into somebody's car, you would go to somebody's apartment, and you would begin to flip through their archive and figure out what they were like based on what they liked. You know,
the era of, do you want to come see my records?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Which we don't have so much anymore.
So Fred, you had something magical.
Well, I was going to say, am I an REM guy? Oh, we were talking about getting small, right? So,
we were, yeah.
So I got REM that way. I didn't know what size they were.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I got U2 the same way, which is funny.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Because U2 was really, really big.
Yes.
But I didn't know U2 fans in Rochester, Indiana. So I got to college and I was like, have you heard of this band U2? And they're like, yeah, we've heard of the band U2. Come on.
Right. We're from Chicago. Yeah.
Right. We're from the big city.
Yeah.
So anyway, that experience in learning of like, you just push open the door and you go, what's in here? And then you get a copy of Rolling Stone and you read it and they're like, we really love this band called like the Velvet Underground. And you're like, what is a Velvet Underground and how do I hear that?
Yeah.
It's going to be years before you hear it.
Dude, back when Rolling Stone was magical and wasn't like a Twitter account in Mumbai, you know?
Yeah. That too.
Yeah.
So, and then you watch these bands unfold. And I think our students are having this experience of people like Taylor Swift a little bit. REM, their drummer left because he had enough. His health wasn't that good. He's like, I don't want to die on the road. And they became 3 and they didn't really want huge fame. Although like with Taylor Swift, like with David Bowie, how do you really give that up? But it seems like there came a point where they said, we've done a lot of great music and we can let the band go.
Yeah.
And all those guys are out there still making music. They're just not making a big deal about it. Especially the guitar player may have been more productive in the last 10 years than a lot of musicians.
Interesting.
But all of the albums are just the size that he likes. He goes out and plays with guys that he enjoys. And when his band's name is on the door, it's not a million people coming in, so he can connect with the people he's playing for in the way that he did when he was young. So that's graceful.
Yeah, no, it is graceful. Absolutely. And I think last question on this. So part and parcel with being a rock star when we grew up was the idea, and I think REM had this to a certain degree, Metallica, Bon Jovi had this too. The idea was the most rock star thing you could do would be to make the music and say you can either like it or dislike it, but this is the music we're making. Right. I think Taylor Swift created a different paradigm in that she was kind of the ultimate millennial in the sense that like she was doing this constant feedback loop of being online, responding to comments, assimilating all those packets of information and then changing the product accordingly, which seems not very rock star to me, but my students don't mind. You know, it's just kind of by nature what they grew up with, you know?
Yeah, it's a different experience.
Yes, it is.
We can kind of try to map it onto what we had in the 80s. But their relationship to music is so different.
That's right.
And even it's remarkable that people still talk about Taylor Swift's songs coming out as albums and listening to them as wholes.
Yeah.
This is one of the challenges. We're gonna make this shift now. One of the challenges for education right now is
there
getting students to engage wholes, like long wholes, not WHOLES, right? Not that one book, which is fine too.
Yeah.
But the tendency to listen for 2 or 3 minutes and give up.
Yeah.
And then the impatience to say sit with a whole album. So a great thing about the engagement with Taylor Swift is that so many of her big fans were like, how does song 3 connect to song 1? And she's got all this numerology that she does with her stuff, which I can't begin to talk about. But that engaging start to finish, thinking about the persona, sitting with the creator and sort of side by side going through the experience the creator's going through. And
that's right.
That is good training in some ways for what we hope people will do, which is pick up the book and read the whole book.
Right.
Don't go get a summary of it. Listen to the way the person says it.
These are superpowers, right? Like if you can sit with that in my field, if you can sit with a whole book by a great author and assimilate what you need to assimilate from it, I think that puts our students way ahead of the curve, and it's exciting to do and it's fun to do.
Well, and I think that Taylor, she's done such a great job of taking us into all manner of types of creativity. She takes us into the depths of just lyrics. Like, what is she really saying? What does that really mean? How is that song connected to a certain person or another album or a situation? Is that situation real? Was that not real? And through her, just her overall artistic ability is so rich and beautiful visually. Just what you're listening to, her music videos, how she's learned to direct. All of it is so gorgeous. And so you think, okay, students, you may not like X that we're reading or learning, but there's so much more to it there that we need to dive into and explore. And then come to find out, you might actually end up loving the whole thing. But let's give it a shot.
Fostering an appreciation for product, or I'll hate it, but I use the word art, as opposed to content.
Right.
They've grown up in the content age where people make videos of themselves eating an entire menu at Zaxby's or whatever. And this is sort of like, yes, they're independent and they're content creators, but it's a little bit degrading. It's made to be forgotten. And I think what we're trying to champion is the idea of sitting with something for a while that was worth doing for somebody, you know?
Knowing that that's a thing that you can do. Almost.
That's right.
So I talk sometimes, before I'm a dean, I'm a literature professor, right? And so I'll talk to students at times about the way there is art that is gallery art, and there's like the art of the carnival. And also the art of the alley. So like those 3 spaces, there's different ways you enter into that. So if it's a carnival, you're not really meant to have to work through it, right? It's the Bon Jovi album or some of the Taylor Swift songs where you instantly get that. You know what that is, and you know where it is emotionally. And also you're in it and you're out of it, and then it's gone. There is also art that if you don't sit with it, you're not going to get it. And if you do sit with it and get it, you're going to get something that is really, really powerful and really worthwhile. It kind of blows open the doors, shows you more possibilities in the world. It just shows you what's out there in ways that you wouldn't otherwise know. And it's rare. I think it's always been rare for 18-year-olds to have been invited into the gallery in that sense, right? But in our very fast, force feed media culture, it's even more rare. And sometimes the reading they've done in high school, they haven't finished a whole work necessarily for any number of reasons. So to say, this is not going to grab you. It's not what it's going to do. You need to grab it. You need to sit with it and read through it. I'm going to do a class on faith and literature this spring. It's a new class to me, an old class on the books here. And one of the books we'll do is Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. That book is... it's an older man who's gotten married late in life. He has a young son, and he's aware that his health isn't great, and he is likely to die before his son gets much older, right? Certainly before he's a young man. And the book is a series of letters to him, and it begins as this sort of, let me tell you about, your past. But it starts to be a contemplation of his everyday life and everything that's going on in there. And you realize what's happened is he's not writing to the little boy. He's writing to his imagined version of the young man.
Oh, wow.
Or the old man, right? So some of these letters are addressed to like your son who's just a kid, but when he's 50. And it's so contemplative.
Yeah.
But when you begin to realize this is what he's doing with his imagination, it becomes a statement on just even what the imagination is. That's a hard, I mean, it's not an obvious book to enter into. It doesn't, it's not a beach read, really.
Right,
you could read it on the beach, but you'd be that person, right?
Like you at Packasack late at night.
Yeah, it started early. It never stopped. That entering into text like that. So, but those are texts you grow on. And those are experiences of reading that you grow on. And even sometimes you go, I would not read that again, but what an incredible experience to,
that's right.
to have done it.
Yeah.
A lot of us get that through the first time we discover movies that move slow.
Yes.
We'll get it through that. And you'll go, well, that's not what I'm going to put on a Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon when I'm just chilling out. Yeah. But wow, to walk into the gallery of that film and to sit with it and what it is and to contemplate it, that was really worthwhile. So one of the things that in any context you want liberal arts education to do, right? You enter into these spaces, you learn to sit with them, you learn to be somebody who can notice, like this isn't grabbing you like a carnival. Yeah. But this is something you can not only deeply appreciate in just sort of a feelings kind of way, but that will send you to thoughts and will take you into people's lives in ways that you couldn't have predicted, and will make your interactions when you leave that space different, right? That's you're transformed by the thing that you touch. So, so much as a literature professor and too, as a writing teacher who's always introducing different kinds of writers to your students, you want them to hear voices they haven't heard.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is that really, we talk about these, like, everybody says, when you read books, it takes you places. You get to go in worlds you wouldn't have gotten to go to otherwise, which is true, except if all your worlds are that same carnival world, you're not really going anywhere, right? So actually, let's sit with a really difficult personality. Let's sit with a book full of characters where there's not somebody you identify with and like in this book. You're not here, but you're observing what these people are doing, and that's got its own kind of beauty. And this, to go back to the small town thing for a moment, that's what you're hoping to somewhere along you're 12, 13, 14, 15, you begin to hear this band, see that movie, hear about this thing. Somebody's like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, you got to see that, right? And you finally see it, and it's a revelation because they're doing humor in a way that you've never imagined before, and that's a step, and now you're on to the next thing. And each one of those enriches your interaction with the rest of the world, your understanding of what kinds of minds create things, and what it means to reach out to people who are way outside your experience.
Well, and you're imagining a different life, and growing up in Indiana in the 90s, it wasn't so easy to imagine a different life. We didn't have, the phone and thousands of friends or followers, and, you had to kind of push out for some of those things. And I think that's what Fred made college so exciting. Going to college, living in a dorm with a bunch of guys from New York or Chicago or Grand Rapids or wherever. And we're
even Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne was glamorous for us. That was the Manhattan of Northeast Indiana. But no, I mean, you're sharing all your affections, right? And now as teachers, we get to share our affections professionally, and it's pretty exciting. At the end of the day, that never really gets boring, to say, hey, I love this thing, and I think you might love it too. And I hope you'll love aspects of it, and then walk a student through that thing. It's fun. If
I give it to you and you don't love it, you're going to come to class still, and we're going to talk about it as a group. And it might be that by the end of class, you'll go, oh, yeah, I do love it. Which is a constant, right? With literature courses where students go, I didn't know why you gave that to us. And then we talked about it for 20 minutes in class, and I started thinking, and now it's my favorite thing ever.
And that's what college should do, right? And college should teach us to have better lives in that way, and talk about things at a higher level, and enjoy the talk and enjoy each other. Fred, what's your vision for this thing, man? I mean, you're brand new in this job. You're in the classroom for a long time. You're going to be in the classroom still. What would you like Union to be? Because I think we don't yet know the answer to this in some ways.
Well, okay. So I got here in July. So, I'm just a few months into my adventure here. And I don't want to be too much like, well, I'm glad to meet you. Let me tell you who you are now.
Yeah, no, you can be a little frisky in that way. It's okay.
But so here's the baseline. We're we're a small university.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest thing about a small university is, well, there's a bunch of great things, but among them, I can walk down the sidewalk and I can have warm conversations with people I know who are from multiple disciplines. So there's a way in a bigger place. I'm not likely to know, as an English professor, I'm not likely to know the chemists or even have a theory of what chemists are like, because I never see them. I never talk to them. But coming from a small university like Union, and then here at Union, you have that experience of like, I know everybody, and if I have a question about what's going on in chemistry, I can go ask, and we can develop an understanding of each other such that I can hopefully stop saying, when I'm advising my humanities students, you got to get your science out of the way. So go over here. And instead I can say, go take Jeremy Loschke's class, because it's going to blow your mind, and that is going to fill in your understanding of what science is. And I know you want to be a writer, and that's what you want to do. And believe me, that when you hear him talk about bugs, yes, bugs, right? You are going to, your mind is going to light up, and it's going to teach you about writing in ways that you can come talk to me about next semester when we do advising again, right? So, and I really, so in terms of my vision for this thing, I'm really hopeful that Union professors get great at that for their colleagues across the street.
Oh, well said.
Right? Okay, I have a question. Thinking about just in today's world of higher ed and sending parents considering, where are they sending their students to school and the type of classroom that they're going to be in and who are they learning from. We want to trust that. We want to trust the professor. We want to trust the voice. We want to trust what they're thinking and their approach to not just their discipline, but all manner of things. We want our child to feel safe, and we want our child to feel like they're being challenged. What is your thought, your approach, your hope, your knowing for, you can say, okay, this is how I feel about the faculty in our classrooms. This is what I can say without a doubt. You can trust them and how they're going to instruct because of what it is. What is it that you are giving them? How are you guiding them? What are you providing them? How are you challenging our faculty in such a way that parents that just don't know? I mean, it's rare that students come and sit in a class. I love for them to sit in a class. It gives them probably just their best understanding and view of how that professor is going to teach. The parent's not coming in that class. That parent's not going to class. We hope not. They shouldn't. That's my own thought. That maybe they should. But like, how do we...
We're a decade or less away from that.
Okay.
I'm calling my shot right now.
But how do they know? How do they know that regardless of the discipline, I can trust that faculty member and how they're going to instruct, and what are they going to say? How are they going to honor my time, my family, our money? How do you feel about that? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces there. So let me put a couple together. Let me go out and then in. Out is the whole faculty is talking to each other about the problem. How do you deliver a faith-filled education? How do you deliver a faithful education? What does it mean to be a Christian writer in the fields where we're doing right? What does it mean to be a Christian scientist? And how does our whole curriculum hang together to help you think about how to be an educated Christian in the world? So we are all talking about this. We're all worried about this. Ted and I are walking to a different meeting after this where we're going to have one of these conversations with colleagues who raise their hand to say, yes, we want to think about that some more together. So the conversation among faculty at Union is and should be about how do we provide this whole education? And you're not going to get in a single classroom all of it.
Right.
What you're going to get is a thoughtful general education core curriculum that hangs together. So you've taken some courses on reading the Old Testament and New Testament. Now you're going to come over and take a course on literature. And in that literature course, you're going to think harder about what it means to read words well and to understand the genre you're reading, to respond to that analytically. And then you're going to move over to a writing course somewhere, and you're going to be thinking about what it means to express yourself. How do these things hang together? Well, if we're good at talking about the whole, we're going to start saying things like, when you read like The Great Gatsby well, you're going to read Corinthians better. And when you read Corinthians better, it is going to be partly because you've learned to write yourself. Mm-hmm. And that writing has trained your mind to understand how people put together thought to thought to thought in a persuasive way. And I'm leaving out science because I'm a humanities person. Mm-hmm. Science and math, the weird thing about math is the way that doing math well helps your logic everywhere else. Mm-hmm. There's a sharpening of the mind that goes on there, and a sharpening of your sense of the order of the world that goes on when you do math well. And so this is part of the picture as well. Now, if you go to your calculus class and every day they're like, here's the proof in calculus. Are there proofs in calculus?
I have no idea. All I know about math, I learned in Goodwill Hunting. So again, shout out the 90s.
Yeah. Oh no, that's I learned that's as good as a intro to math course. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The point. Math. I'm sorry. The point is, if you're trying to put like a proof scripture with your mathematical proof, it's not going that well. Mm. But if you are helping students see that you're learning about the order of God's world here, and your knowledge of the Old Testament and New Testament and basic doctrine and reading well and interpreting well and writing well comes to bear on that moment, all of these pieces hang together well. So that's like, I was going to start out and then move in. That's the out. And the in is in any individual classroom. I would hope that our professors are, and they are, thinking about, what is my discipline's piece in all of this? Mm-hmm. What am I doing as part of this whole? And again, for a small university like this where we know each other, we get better and better at being able to say, hey student, hey my advisee, you are struggling with these questions, you are learning in this way, and you've got this opportunity in your core requirements to go across the hall and take a math class, and I'm going to send you to this person who, weirdly enough, is going to help you fill in some of your gaps with a thing you never thought would do it. Something like that. So that's the hanging together of the whole. It only works if we're talking to each other. So this is, as dean, right. One of the things I do is I get to move between departments, and I get to point out to different departments what they're doing. Which is a really fun part of this job is to be able to go, maybe we could be thinking about this new program that will bridge your two departments. Maybe we can be thinking about the way your students are interacting and making sure we're mutually supporting each other. Because otherwise we're all busy, right? So your department's really busy doing this event. That department over there is really busy doing this other event, and you won't know about each other, right? Even though if you went to both of those events, that could make your semester.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good, because it matters. We can all get so busy that we live in our silos and we just function and work and do our own thing. But when there is intentional conversation about how to be cooperating well, this cooperative effort on how are we using each department to help one another and to serve one another, which ultimately serves the student better. I love this. I want to go back to school. This is incredible.
There you go.
Yeah.
From REM to Bon Jovi to higher ed. What a journey.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. What's your best piece of advice that you love to give college students regardless if you're like, I don't know where you're coming from, I don't know your background, I don't know your history at all. What is your best piece of advice to give to college students?
I have a bunch. Here's one. One is, in any given semester, choose one professor that you want to know you, or at least try to have one professor who you want to know you well enough at the end that they could write a letter for you. There are 8 semesters. If you fail at that 4 times, you still graduate with 4 people who know you really well and could write for you. Right? Sure. So it's just worth it. And how do you do that? That opens up to other great advice, which is like go to office hours, right? Meet other people in your classes. Put your phone away as soon as you walk through the door in the classroom, and use that time before class to say, hey, Caleb, how you doing?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I love this.
Yeah.
This is so good. I'm so glad that you're here.
Well, I'm glad I'm here too.
Welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk About That, a Union University podcast. It's a lot of fun, Ted. I appreciate you as always.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to another episode. Y'all have a fantastic day. We'll see you next time. Yes, thank you for listening to our conversation with Dr. Fred Johnson. If you have any questions at all, feel free to contact us. Our email addresses can be found in the show notes. And of course, we want you to come for a campus visit. You can schedule that online, uu.edu/campus visits. Be sure and let Ted and myself know that you're coming. We would love to see you. And then finally, are you ready to apply to Union? We do not want you to pay that application fee. Just simply type in the word TALK, all capital letters, TALK, as in, let's talk about that. Okay, you guys, have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.